watch my agency close a real $6,000 deal.
Today's call, Patrick, are you happy for me to dive straight into some questions around the business itself? You know, what kind of challenges you might be experiencing from a marketing perspective, what the goals are, what's looking to be achieved. Does that sound okay initially?
Yeah.
Wonderful. We can dive into the service we provide, what the financial investment looks like as well on today's call. And then, of course, if there's any questions from your side, more than happy to cover those off as well.
Cool, for sure.
Okay, first things first, straight off the bat. This is super duper key. For context, this is my head of sales came in here taking this call. This is really key. The first thing you want to do on every single phone call is you want to take the lead, okay, and you want to set the agenda for the call. So you notice what Cayman did here, very good at the beginning. He was like, right, so this is what we're going to do today. Does that sound good? You get a yes from the client. So first of all, you take the lead. You're the one planning the agenda, setting the scene for what the call is going to look like. That puts you in control of the call. What you don't want to do, because if you don't do this, what can happen is you can start the phone call off and it becomes like an interview. So if you start the phone call off and you let the client take the lead, they're going to be like, okay, so tell me about the service, tell me about this, tell me about... There's no structure. Think about Jordan Belfort's technique, the straight line system. You want to keep them on the line. You want to keep them on the script as much as possible. If they come off the script, your job is to pull them back onto the script, okay? And the best way to do that is by setting the agenda at the start and then taking the lead. Really, really, really important.
What do you find as perhaps the 2 or 3 biggest challenges for yourself and the business at the moment when it comes to actually advertising?
The advertising, like...
Okay, so before we listen to the question here, really key first question. What are the big problems you're facing in your business right now that's stopping you from scaling or hitting your targets? The goal of this question is to get them to build pain and tell you what they're struggling with. So we can then, throughout the rest of the call, continue to build on that pain. The more pain they feel, the more they're going to be likely to make a buying decision at the end of the call. And B, it allows us to actually understand what the client's struggling with so we can position our service as the appropriate solution for that. So let's continue.
Facebook, Google, I mean, just seeing results. I'm not super well versed in especially Facebook ads. Google we're somewhat familiar with, but I mean, we use platforms like Facebook, Google, Yelp, a little bit of Nextdoor, and just basically not having the time to perfect those areas, I guess.
And when you say with the platforms you're advertising on at the moment and the problems there, what's that down to? Is that the quality of the lead? Is that the number of leads? Is it a combination of
number of leads? Number of leads for sure is kind of the issue. I mean,
Do you notice what's key there? So that's what you call a probing question. Usually what happens is when you first ask a question, clients will give you quite a surface level answer, okay? So what you want to do is if they've not given you the true issue, you probe. So you see here how Cayman probed, and then you got the actual issue of the problem, okay, which is volume of leads. So you want to ask a question and then the follow-up question there, if they've not gone deep enough, you notice how his answer was like 30 seconds long, didn't go into tons of detail, went kind of quiet, felt like he'd answered the question, came and then probed to get deeper into them speaking about what their actual problem is, which is really important.
Where I run into issues is just, getting the reach that we're looking for. I mean, we can do upwards of 75 jobs a week. So we need something that's going to help supply those 75 and then also help us grow to an exponential number of, 100 to 125 jobs a week.
And when you are getting the jobs, how far are you looking to travel? What kind of radius are you looking at there, Patrick?
We are kind of in a unique area in Salt Lake City in Utah. I mean, it's pretty accessible. All 3 major counties where the highest density population is. It's Salt Lake County, then Summit County, which is like Park City, Utah, Heber, and then Utah County, which is kind of Provo, like Lehigh, Orem area. I mean, we service all 3 counties, and all 3 counties are accessible within like 30 minutes. So we have it's kind of a unique valley system. So we have a couple valleys, and then Park City's all obviously up in the canyon. But I mean, we service those 3 areas, and it's a pretty good reach.
Awesome. And when you consider the lack of leads at the moment, or the number of leads not being where you want it to be, how's that impacting the business at the moment, Patrick?
Okay, really important thing. 2 things to note here. Number 1, you notice how Cayman's asking these probing questions. Before this question, he's asking probing questions and he's making notes, okay? This is what you call the discovery stage of the course. So you're discovering about the client what their problems are. You see how he's making notes? Because then if he needs to, later on in the call, he can link the solution back to these things. That's key. And then what I think is really, really important here is how is that then impacting the business? Okay, so this is where we're doing discovery, and then we're really now starting to build pain. Okay, what you want to do is you want to get the clients to speak about their problems and get them to really speak then about the pain, and then also build a gap. So this question here, how is that impacting the business? It's great to say, we have a lead flow issue. Cool, that's an issue, but how is that actually impacting the business? Tell me. It's impacting 20 grand a month. It's meaning I can't scale. It means I don't have the time to spend with my family. That then gets to the core root of the issue, which is the big problem that we can link back to in the goal. So yeah, really key here is how is that actually impacting the business?
It's making it a lot. I mean, it's a lot more footwork, I guess, to create these leads and get these jobs. Like, we have a flyer system. I've been doing this for 12 years, so I can pretty much look at a house, write a firm quote on a flyer. We have developed a nice little flyer, so I write a firm quote, put it on the doors, also referrals. We're kind of maximized at what I can just do individually. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And then when you consider your marketing efforts at the moment and spending on Meta, Google, what's the spend look like there on each of those different platforms?
I mean, it kind of varies because we're not getting leads, right? So I'll go with a company, like we've gone with Haibu Marketing, we've gone with various different marketing companies that, we've gone through the process of a year. We've gone through them, done that whole thing, spent a bunch of money, but I have the capital to spend around like $5,000 a month. And then if that goes well and we're seeing results, then I mean, as long as we're spending money and making money, then it's kind of, there's a lot of room. Yeah.
100%. And where does most of the revenue come from at the moment? When you look at the revenue numbers, where's the highest percentage actually come from?
Let me just take a peek real quick. Fantastic. This year we've done around 573 jobs so far. So Yelp is a big one. Yelp supplied us with, 50 plus jobs. Our residual client base is around like 350, and then the rest of that is flyers are right now at like 75, and then the rest is residual. I mean, referral based, Google, Facebook, all that fun stuff.
So really important here before we go into the next question. Do you notice how Cayman is actively listening, not rambling, and just asking questions? If you look in this first 5 minutes, how much time has Cayman spent speaking, selling the service? Nothing. We're letting the client speak 90% of the time. We're asking clear, concise questions, and then we are actively listening. When they're talking and there's silences, we're not thinking we need to fill those silences and then jumping in and starting a conversation. No, we're letting it sit. We're bathing in the silence. And then we're going on to our next question. You see how this makes like an effortless flow of a sales call? This is how it should go.
What of value you do put in the form? It looks like that's gone up from last year, which is of course positive. Yeah.
So our average right now is $355.12. That means, I mean, each crew can do upwards of 3 jobs a day. At $355, I have 5 crews running right now, but essentially a crew is 5 days of training and, a $10,000 investment in equipment. So it's pretty easy to get another crew going if we have enough leads.
That's fantastic. And then with the lifetime value, obviously you'll have your customers that you've already acquired. But what's the lifetime value look like, or what's the drop off rate? Do you retain customers well?
We retain customers really well. Our retention rate's about like 63%. We don't do contracts. We do a quality job. I mean, we're kind of a window cleaning company without all the gimmicks. Like, no contracts, we're not going to hold you to it. You pretty much just hit us up, let us know when you want it done. We do it. We grandfather people in on rates. Whatever rate you were in at, that's your grandfather rate. We don't raise percentages or raise rates over the years. And also, it's kind of like a small business feel, but, we do upwards of 1,000 plus houses a year.
Awesome. And when you're looking to acquire a customer, or where you consider a cost per lead, assuming it's a good lead, how much are you happy to pay to acquire that lead?
I mean, as much as we've done a Home Advisor, which was Angie leads, we were paying like $60 a lead through that. I mean, obviously we're not trying to pay $60 a lead, but that's just the extent we've gone to get leads. I think with Haibu, they were through their metrics. I don't know how accurate this is, but we're paying around like $6 to $7 per lead. The unique thing about leads too with us is it kind of goes off of our flyer system. Once we get a lead through, if I can get a phone number and an address, I'm very active. When something hits my email or hits my Yelp inbox, goes through the Facebook leads program, bings my phone, I stop everything what I'm doing. I can look up that property via Google Maps and MLS listing account, can see the property, give them a quote in 30 seconds. And it's a firm quote. It's not a broad range quote. That's what people respect about us. It's a firm quote. We show up, we charge that price, and it's an all-inclusive cleaning. Includes screens, interior and exterior, track frame seals. It's not like a gimmick system where we upcharge on this, show up, say, oh, we said 200, but it's gonna be 275,
And fantastic stuff.
I think we close around all leads. We close around like 77% of all leads that we get through an inbox system.
It's really strong.
Firm and quick, and our response reply on Yelp is, I think it's an hour.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And then with regard to the timing of things, then Patrick, why is now the right time to source that outside help? For Meta and for Google, why now?
Okay, so really, really, really key here. So 2 things. First of all, do you notice how he keeps referring to the client's name as Patrick? Okay, this is a Carnegie thing. The sweetest sound to anybody is their own name. And it also just shows it's really good for building rapport. That's minimal. It's not going to make a huge difference for you closing a deal, but it's a nice little touch. Now, do you notice how for the first 8 minutes here, it's just discovery, discovery, discovery. The next part here, which is really key, is why now? Okay, why is now the right time? Because you're basically getting them to speak about all of their problems, telling us about their business, what they're struggling with, how it's impacting them. And now we're asking them, okay, you're telling me how it's impacting you, you've given me all the information I need. Why is now the right time for you to actually move forward with having support with your Facebook ads, email marketing, whatever it is that you offer? What that's going to do, they're going to be like, right, now's the right time because of XYZ. And then when you get to the end of the call and you want to get a commitment and you want to get a buy-in decision from them, they've already told you the importance of why now is the right time, but they've told you that themselves. This is a really powerful question to get them in that state of mind where they're going to already be speaking about why it's so important and why now is the time for it to be important.
I've tried a bunch of different companies, gone through like 6 or 7 within the past 2 years. I'm just looking for somebody who can provide, quality, who's trustworthy. I think that's the main point. And someone that I can just, work with, somebody who's not going to do an initial call and then I'll never hear from them again, and it's impossible to get in touch with them in 2 months, and I'm like, I don't.
All right, so we had to cut some stuff out here because the client went into some personal stuff, but that's basically the discovery section of the script done. Now what we do, and we've tested this by the way, we like to transition into opening up for some questions and then actually doing a deep dive into the ad account so we can actually link everything that they've told us to specific things that they can do in their ad account as a way to build an even further pain point of what they're not currently doing and what they're missing out on. So let's dive into this next section here now.
Thank you for answering those questions. I'm more than happy to hand the floor over to you, Patrick, for any questions you've got for me, and then hopefully we can have a look at the Facebook ad account as well on this call, and we can have a little chat around strategy and that kind of thing. So is there any questions that sort of spring to mind for yourself, Patrick? Or?
So do you guys, I know you handle Google and Facebook, and then do you guys have a base ad spend that you need to spend through your guys' company?
Yeah, so I would normally recommend around 3K per month, and that would normally be per platform. I guess it depends really on, I think Meta would certainly be a good place for us to focus on, for sure. How are things going on Google? Are they not great on Google either? No.
I mean, the only people I talk to on Google are via like the Google reps, They change every quarter, then they give me the initial quarter call, and then they run through it in 45 minutes, have you kind of publish an ad, and then, it's just that's how it goes. So, I mean, I'd love somebody to handle, I'd love somebody to handle all of it, just take it all, and do what they do best, and let me do what I do.
I was just going to say we could potentially go lower on the Google side of things than the 3K. We could maybe go 2K there, so that aligns with your 5K budget per month.
Yeah.
Maybe have the 3K on Meta, and then the 2K towards Google. That could work.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Did you notice what's really interesting here? This client actually came through initially just wanting one platform, and by opening up the stage to say, hey, have you got any questions for me, he's already saying, hey, you also offer this platform. That doesn't happen on every call, but it's a nice thing, nice little add-on there to be able to start to tinkle in. And I think what's also really key, do you know, I spoke about the importance of making a note. Do you see how Cayman there linked back to the 5k? So if we remember, he said, Cayman asked, what's your budget? And he said, I can put aside 5k. So for context, we usually have a minimum budget of 3k a month per platform. That tends to be for us, just helps for the quality of the client to ensure they're actually like an established business if they can afford that level of spend. However, like there are obviously exceptions to that rule. It's not a tried, true and hard, fast rule. Like if a huge business comes along and wants to spend 2k a month with us, like we're not going to turn away that customer. So in this instance, Kim was like, look, what we can do is we can make the spend of the second platform lower to actually align with the 5k spend if that's something that you want to do. So that's the importance of making notes and being able to link back to that throughout the call, and it shows that you pay attention.
What is your, do you guys, I know you guys handle a lot of service industry businesses. What is the average, like, what is the average cost per click, or what is the average return on those businesses?
Yeah, sure. So I would say that I think there's a stat on the website that 86% of our clients see an increase in revenue or increase in results in the first 30 days. We work with a lot of service businesses, and you know we try and work with them for long term as well. So we have a goal with every client that we work with that we want to retain them for 5 years or more, because the impact we're going to have had on the business then is absolutely enormous.
Yeah.
But you know, when it comes to cost per click and that kind of thing, that will of course have so many different factors and will vary from business to business. But our goals will always be aligned with what your goals are. So if you have like a revenue target or a certain amount of jobs that you're looking to get complete, if you've got a certain amount of leads that you're looking to get, I think it's important that we tie our goals to your goals, because we could be reporting to you something that we think is a success, and you're like, well, actually, really, I don't care about that much. My goal is actually this. So that's the way we always look to try and tie our goals, so that we can then make amendments to the ads to meet your goals that you're looking to achieve. And of course, they can be adaptable and changeable over time as well.
Yeah, I mean, just to quickly touch on that, do you notice how clients oftentimes will ask these kind of questions? The difficult thing is we're not Nostradamus, right? We cannot predict the future. This is key for you guys to understand. If a client asks you, like, what kind of results can I expect? It's very difficult to give them an exact answer. I'm going to drop your cost per click to £2, or I'm going to increase your ROAS to this exact ROAS. Nobody can predict that. There's so many factors at play. But what Cayman's done here, which is really smart, is he's subtly dropped in a couple of things. Number one, that we have a goal of retaining all of our customers for 5 years or more. And like logically, a customer's only going to retain for 5 years if they're overjoyed in getting results. Okay, that's number one. Number two, he dropped a really important stat there, because ultimately the client's saying, what kind of results can I expect? Cayman's not able to say that, but what he is able to say is that 86% of our clients see improved results within the first 30 days, which is a proper metric that we've actually tracked internally. So that's something that we can go to clients and tell them, and it's a really strong way to answer the question without actually promising something that we can't guarantee and be just like a completely sleazy salesman and make up something to just come across the line. Because you've got to remember, the goal isn't to just land clients, it's to land clients and retain them. And so much of retention on the back end actually comes from the sales process. So it's really, really key to make sure that you don't overpromise, especially when you're put into situations like this. So make notes, and you can make a note of that exact line, get that metric for yourself, and you can absolutely, leverage it. Another thing I like is clients sometimes say, do you have a guarantee? Now, we currently don't have a guarantee in our agency. We have done before, but at this moment in time, we don't. And clients have always said to us, do you have a guarantee? And it's like, look, we don't have a results-based guarantee, but what I can guarantee you is that we are the best person for the job based off of XYZ results that I can now show you. So you can make a sort of bank of those sort of objection overcomes per se if you need to in your own agency, and just steal that from us here.
I've done a lot of thorough research on you guys. I'm pretty good on the question aspect of all this.
Excellent. We can maybe have a look at the Meta account now then on screen. Yeah. If you're happy to share your screen with me, Patrick, we can dive right in and have a look.
Okay, so this is really important, okay? Really, really, really key. I've blurred all the private information here on screen. We have tested, trust me, we have tested so many different sales processes. I can't even, honestly, at this point now, I don't even know how many sales calls we've had. We've had thousands upon thousands of sales calls, okay? Now, we've tested 1 call closes, 2 call closes. We've tested following a strict script stringently, word for word. We've tried not running through ad accounts on calls. We've tried running through ad accounts and giving strategies on calls. And what I found is, especially in the agency space, if you can do, this is what you call a consultative sale, where essentially you are consulting them throughout the sales process. Because what this does, and the reason this works so well, is in the agency space, there's a common thing, which is people think that, you know, people have been burned by a lot of other agencies that don't know what they're doing. That's a common thing you'll hear in the agency space. You'll have a demo call, you know, what are you struggling with? Well, I've just been burned by my current agency, or my old agency didn't get me results, okay? So by being too pushy and too salesy, we actually know it's lower conversions. Now, in other industries, that might work. From thousands upon thousands of sales calls, I can tell you for a fact the consultative approach like this works because A, okay, it shows that you truly care. B, it shows that you know what you're talking about. And C, back to what we do in discovery about building pain points, building issues. As you'll see now when we run through this account and look at areas for improvement, we're basically just building that gap even further of like where they could be because that's what they're not doing right now. And because it positions us as an expert to solve that, it's a really, really powerful way to become almost like a no-brainer that they move forward with us. And I know a lot of people have limiting beliefs like, oh, well, if I give them information here on the call, they're just going to go and do it themselves. Trust me, most people that book agency-based calls don't just want to get better results. They also want to save time, and they don't want to go and do it on their own. Trust me.
Okay, so just the one campaign running at the moment then, yeah?
Yeah, I did. We ran, I mean, about, what was it? Probably 4 or 5 months ago, we ran a couple campaigns on a different ads account. And it was just, we did like 17 and it was all junked up and all that. So I had a call with Meta Dude and he said to just delete that ads ID. So we deleted that one and then started fresh with this one. And after that, we've been cruising in window cleaning. I mean, I just really haven't had the time.
Yeah, no problem at all. And with the website itself, is the pixel on there at the moment? Is it, Patrick, or?
It's not on this new account.
Okay.
But I mean, I just send it to her and she can do it in 30 seconds.
Yeah, fantastic. Let's dive into this account then. So if you go edit on the campaign, let's just have a look at the targeting side of things. So if you go ad set 1, and there's an end date on this campaign as well, yeah, is that?
Yeah, just because, I mean, I get busy and then a week goes by and I'm like, oh shoot, I forgot to, check out Facebook and see if it's actually working. And usually it's not working for me, so I'm like, oh shit, I need to change this.
No problem. And so there's no sort of targeting involved. It is just purely location based, yeah? Correct?
Yeah, just location based. I mean, we did do, on the previous campaigns, we did target, median income, homeowners, and then, age of client. Obviously, there's not a lot of 18-year-olds running around Utah looking as homeowners looking for window cleaning. So we tightened that up on our last campaign. I mean, it worked somewhat well. I mean, we were getting 2 to 3 leads, a day, but our cost per lead was like upwards of like $40 to $50 for some reason. And then we had a meeting with somebody from Meta. He was awesome. Unfortunately, they switched his roles to somebody else. They weren't too awesome, and we just kind of, we moved on from it. Yeah.
If you don't mind just scrolling down just a touch more then, Patrick, and we'll just move on to the ad after this. Placements. Okay, let's go to the actual ad. I'd probably stick to normally like feed and reels and story placements. Really, that's where you're going to see the most conversions. But yeah, let's go to the leads ad set. To the leads ad. Sorry. Okay, good to see that you've got that deselected there where it says multi-advertiser ads. What that does is it will make your ads cheaper to show. It will increase the number of impressions that you get, but those impressions won't be of the best quality because your ads are shown alongside other businesses in that situation, and that does increase your cost per lead or your cost per result. So good to see that you've got that deselected.
We're paying for ads. We don't want to pay to be brother and sister.
No, exactly.
It's really key here as well. Just a point. What Cayman's looking for here, he's looking for either ways to reinforce what they've been doing to show, and then diving into it to showcase expertise. Okay, so it's like, oh look, you're actually done a really good job having that, and then he's shown expertise as to the importance of having that on. So again, it's consultative selling, it's building confidence in Cayman. But the key is what he's really looking for is for areas of things that he's not doing, so we can then build the gap. Okay, but you've got to be careful. It's still important to drop in bits of positive, because you don't want it to be coming in and like, this is bad, this is bad, this is bad, this is bad. It can hurt the client's ego and affect the sale. So every now and again it's like, oh, you've done this well, this is why this is important. it can have a benefit when you're giving them some positive news, but also backing it up with education. So you at least get the added benefit of the fact that you showcase your expertise and building your self-authority from doing so.
The creative side of things then. So creative now has never been more important than it is now with Meta. What does that look like at the moment for yourselves? Because I do think that obviously with the industry that you're in, it could be really good from a creative standpoint.
We do have a social marketing platform and plan. I have been kind of lax on that in the past couple months, just because, I mean, like I said, the reason this is so important, because if I start getting, 3, 4, 5, 10 leads via Facebook and Google, it frees up so much more time for me to focus on other aspects of my business. Like, we can then focus on Instagram, the creative side of that. We can start adding, I can be out in the field taking videos. I can, make posts, kind of reach out to influencers, all that fun stuff that, the potential's there. It's just, I'm managing 10 to 12 employees at a time. We're doing 75 jobs a week. Like, time is a resource.
Absolutely. And do you have a lot of before and afters? I've seen some on the website where you can drag them across and see the before and after. Do you have a lot of before and after?
We do have a lot of before and afters. I mean, we have a lot of reels that's just, a quick little synopsis of us cleaning. A lot of scope work about, the pole system, all that fun stuff. The awesome thing about that too is I have 5 crews out there in the field every day doing 2 to 3 jobs a day. So if whatever creative stuff you guys need, you guys just tell me what you need and I will get it to you within, a day.
Fantastic. No, absolutely brilliant. So I think that when we look at campaign structure, then what we will need, I think, is going to be 2 top of funnel campaigns. So I've got no problem with the way the actual targeting of this is set up. I think we should leave that open and then just target based on, it looks like zip code at the moment that you're targeting based on, and I think that's absolutely fine. What we do need to be doing a bit more of is the actual running of the ads, because there's one ad running at the moment by the looks of things, and we can't have that over reliance on one ad to convert, and that ad could then have been seen by a lot of people over time as well. So then it could be ad fatigue and creative fatigue. So what I would recommend us doing is having 2 top of funnel campaigns. One being that main campaign where we house our winning ads. The other, and that would have 80% of the top of funnel ad budget. The other would be a creative testing campaign, still with the goal of looking to get leads, but just on a lower budget. So what we're looking to do there is create some kind of consistency with the account and not doors for scalability as well. So when we hit ad fatigue in our main campaign, we can then just replace it with a proven winner from that creative testing campaign, and then sort of reset the cycle and continue. So that, like I say, it creates that consistency. And yes, of course, we could give it more budget. We could find out faster what the winners are. The only problem is with that is we would waste a lot more ad spend in the process. So that's the thought process about having that 20% of the top of funnel ad budget dedicated towards that. The reason I asked around the pixel side of things earlier would be because there isn't a retargeting campaign at the moment. Now, for me, whenever you're offering a service to somebody, I normally see retargeting as a place to handle objections. And when you're talking about services, it's always going to be a trust objection, I think, as to, is the service going to be as expected and that kind of thing. So if you have any sort of written testimonials or video testimonials of someone who's, had you guys around and had a great experience, then that would be the best place to run that kind of ad as well. How much web traffic would you say that you get on a monthly basis?
Okay, so really key here again, Cayman is now really building expertise. So we speak about building the gap. That's what he's doing. So you're not doing retargeting right now. You're not doing before and after photos. You've got no testimonials. You've only got one ad in your campaign. There's no testing. We need an additional campaign to split it. And what's key is he's breaking it down. I mean, Cayman's refined the pitch over years in terms of what's worked, but it's really important to, when you're explaining how you recommend that the account should be structured or the creative should be set up, whatever it is, you want to really make it seem so like, oh my God, that makes complete sense that would make me more money. So when Cayman's saying what we want to do is we want to split it into 2 campaigns, one of which is going to have just our winners in with 8% of the budget, but we still need to test just in case we have ad fatigue and stuff stops to work, but we want to do that on a lower budget, just 20% of the account, but when we get winners, we can then put it into the winning campaign. So nobody could argue that logically that makes complete and utter sense as how that could have a more positive impact on the account than just running one ad. Okay, so this is what Cayman's doing now. He's building expertise. This is more of a logical sell. He's logically selling that, yeah, this is clearly the best way to run the account as opposed to you doing it right now. Okay.
I'm not 100% sure. I mean, it varies per month. I would. I mean, I'm not 100% sure.
That's fine. No problem. But what I would do with the time frame there is I'd put it over the maximum time frame for any website engagement. That would be 180 days. For any social media engagements, that could be liking, commenting, sharing, tagging, whatever it may be on an ad or on a post. I would then look to do that over the last 365 days or the whole year.
Yeah.
And then we could even look to run some kind of omnipresent campaign as well. Now, I'm not sure if you've seen video on that, but for higher average order value services, we can then run this style of campaign. It's around $10 a day, and it's pretty creative heavy. So maybe this is something that we move into further down the line. But it can be, how the actual service works. It can be again testimonials. There's around sort of 7 or 8 different areas that we would look to focus on there. And it has frequency caps as well. So we limit the amount of times that people see the same ad. So they're constantly being shown ads, but they're always different ads. So it's always like you're kept top of mind, and then that will then have a really positive impact long term over on the more lead generation or more conversion based campaigns that we're running.
Right. So there's it's like a system. So you like an Omni ad gets shown once, they see the product, how it goes, or an online testimonial, and then retarget them, and then just kind of over time. Because I think that is definitely, I mean, you can only see the same video or the same picture of window cleaning so many times before you're kind of over it.
Yeah, absolutely. Because that's something that we need to monitor closely, frequency, because like you say, once you've seen an ad, say 4, 5, 6 times, you've seen it that many times, you're probably not going to convert then. Why would seeing it a 7th time then make you convert? It wouldn't. So yeah, you're absolutely right that we do need to monitor frequency closely.
So again, key, do you see we speak about the logical sell? The client's even on board here. Yeah, 100%. Well, we don't want to see the same ad too many times. We're not going to convert. So the client's logically bought in now to this strategy, right? Because Cayman's broken it down so simply, okay, and it's so obviously going to be a better structure than he's got right now. He can't argue with that because he's broken it down like he could explain it to a 7-year-old, and now the client's on board and he's bought into the system, which is great.
Any questions on the strategy and what that looks like?
No, I totally agree. I totally get it. It makes sense.
Key question, okay? You want to close a loop. You always want to close a loop here. So before we move on to the next part, do you have any questions about the strategy? Because it's really important to ask this question, because if you don't ask this question, they might have some form of objection around the strategy, which when they get to the end of the call, if we go to try and accept payment and they maybe don't agree with part of the strategy or feel like it's wrong, then they might decide not to move forward. However, if we give them a place to say, hey, do you have any questions about the strategy? Does that make sense? Are we all aligned? And they say, I think I'm there. One just quick question about retargeting. Would that not lead this, and this? Oh, no, Steve, you don't need to worry about that because of X, Y, and Z. We're going to overcome that by that. Oh, great, Brad. Fantastic. Okay, carry on. No, I don't have any questions. Okay. Do you see how in that kind of situation, you've quelled an objection that could have been a reason in the future that they don't buy? So you always want to make sure that you have constant check-in points throughout and you close these loops throughout the process. And yeah, okay, are we all aligned with everything so far? Do you have any questions around what we've just covered? No? Great, move on. If yes, okay, what's the question? Overcome that and then move on to the next part of the call.
Fantastic stuff. Any other questions for me now that we've covered the strategy side of things?
I guess, do you think Facebook especially, do you think the form is the best way, like the Facebook forum, or do you think just adding that pixel tracking, hopefully they're converting on the website through the form fill or, instant quote system or all that fun stuff?
Yeah, so I would go with the forms because of the issue that you've told me about. So if it's the number of leads that is the problem, then I would look to go down the forms route. If it's the quality of the lead that you're seeing is the problem, then I would look to go down a website lead. So we direct traffic to the website, and I know you've already got like a form that can be filled out on the website already, haven't you? So, but I would recommend, let's stick with the on-platform leads. We should see a higher number of leads there as well.
And then how hands-on are you guys with this? Or is this is this something I give you access to and you guys kind of take the reins on, or is this more of like a consulting deal where you kind of just tell me what to do, I go in and get it done?
So there are options for both. The way that I would be planning to go down it would be that we do it for you. But the way that we do work is almost in like a partnership still. So we do like to let you know exactly what's going on with the account, what our thought process is, where we're seeing the most traction. If there's anywhere we can see improvements, we'll be sharing those kind of ideas with you, because you of course know your business better than anyone else, and we I would say know best practices better than anyone else. So that kind of combination of working together I do think works really well. It's not like, just give us the keys and we'll drive and that's it.
Yeah, I like that. I appreciate that.
Okay, this is subtle, but this is really a key point here. Do you notice how he mentioned, again, we speak about sales being responsible for retention and LTV just as much as the actual delivery team is, because you can screw everything up if early on you don't set the right expectations. I think it's really important here to say to your clients, like, look, we're going to take this off your plate fully and make it, we'll click all the buttons, we'll do everything. However, we know best practices, we know marketing, we know the platform better than anybody else. You, however, know your business better than anybody else. So it's going to be collaborative in the sense that nobody understands your customers and your customers' problems, the problems your business solves better than you, but nobody knows marketing and actually how to, best optimize campaigns on Meta or Google than we do. So that there's still going to be an element of partnership, and we'll keep you up to date throughout the whole process. You can steal that line. That's a nice little one for you to use on your own calls.
Piece for our fees yet. So just before we do, would there be anything that you would say that would stand in the way of you getting started with this today, Patrick, if everything lines up from a financial perspective?
Okay, really important question now. We're going into the transition now into the price and then collecting payment. So really, really, really important question here. It's like, right, before I tell you the price, is there any reason today outside of price, if I'm not speaking about price, like if the financials work, is there any other reason today that you wouldn't move forward, or are you happy to move forward, if the finances make sense? This is such an important question, because what this is going to do, okay, is this is going to allow any objection that isn't a price objection to now be handled. So let's say for some reason they're a little bit concerned about time zone because they're in a different time zone. Now is the time for them to bring that up. Honestly, everything sounds fantastic, Brad. My only concern is I'm in Australia, you're in the UK, is like how we can make that work. Besides that, everything sounds great, so as long as finances make sense, but I am just a bit concerned about time frame. Right, Steve, no problem. Well, we can solve that by XYZ thing, okay? Then you can overcome the objection before getting into price, okay? You basically want to isolate price now to be the only thing that's going to stop them from moving forward. You want to allow any objection that they have, you want to allow a safe space for any objection that they have to come up here so you can overcome it before moving forward. And then if they're happy, you can then go into the pricing section. You do not, this is key, okay, write this down. You never want to price your services until you've asked this question, okay? Because else people might link the price objection to another objection that they have. Then they've got multiple objections and their brain tells them, I'm not going to move forward. At this point, you're saying as long as finances make sense and everything else sounds great, so as long as finances make sense, I'm bought in, okay? So then if there is a financial objection, that's the only thing we then need to overcome, as opposed to that plus 5 other things, okay? Then we're chasing our tail. Fantastic question.
No, I mean, I reached out to you guys specifically because I'm kind of ready to get this going.
Okay, fantastic stuff. Love to hear it. So we'll dive into the investment piece then and what that looks like. So we have a minimum commitment that we ask for from our clients, which is 3 months. So a 3-month commitment, 3-month contract. For that whole 3 months, if we're looking to explore Meta and Google both together, then the total investment for the 3 months would be £12,000. So that would be £4,000 per month. If that's all paid up front and in full, then we can bring that right down to 8.9K for the whole 3 months.
So that is, I mean, for the 12, that's 2 from Google and 3 from Facebook, correct? That was in terms of recommended ad spend, the 2K to Google, 3K to Meta. Mm-hmm. Our fees would be 2K per month for each of the different platforms. Okay. If there is an area that you'd rather focus on, whether that's Google, whether that's Meta, then our fees for that would be £6,000. And if that's again all paid up front and in full, then it would be £4,800.
Okay, so before we go forward, really important thing here. So first of all, Cam has obviously pitched for both platforms here. We'll see how this goes in a minute. He decides, spoiler, not to move forward with both. But you can always anchor that down then. So if somebody wants multiple platforms, it's always better to pitch it. And then if they decide not to, you can the framing then of just going for one, it like anchors the price down, which is really important. But do you notice how after Cayman said the price, he just stayed quiet? So he said it's £12,000, or if you pay in full, it's 8.9k. And he stayed quiet. There was a little bit of awkward silence, and without being very Wolf of Wall Street, but it's like, if you speak first, you lose. But it's a really easy mental model to remember it, but it's kind of true, right? You kind of want to allow the client to speak first, and you have to bathe in the silence. And look, it's not some like Jordan Belfort crazy Wolf of Wall Street thing. The reality of it is it just allows you to gauge the actual real response from the customer, because if they're hesitant about it, if they don't say anything and they're quiet and they're like, and you look at them on the camera and they look a bit uncomfortable or taken back, you know that they're uncomfortable. If you just jump in and start justifying straight away, it's 9k. And if you're like, but that's 9k because of this and you're going to get it, you don't want to do that, okay? Let them process it and let their body language, their tonality, their voice tell you how they're actually feeling. Let their response tell you how they're feeling. If it gets really awkward for a while and nothing's said, just say, how does that sound to you, Patrick? Okay? But don't do that straight away. But yeah, that's it. The investment's 9k. Silence. How does that sound for you, Patrick? I know it's a little bit of silence there. Is that a bit of hesitation? How does that sound? And then you can kind of go from there. Okay? But yeah, let's continue.
What do you recommend, like what is your recommendation without the dollar amount bias? Do you think that, we have a display ad and we have a search campaign. How in depth do you think you need to go over in Google versus Facebook? Like, do you think I should just focus all my money on Facebook, or do you recommend doing a little bit of Google as well?
If it was me making the decision, what I would probably look to do is start with one platform, and that platform I would choose would probably be Meta, because the more you spend, the more people you reach, the more people in all likelihood then should convert. Whereas Google, you have got search volume to some extent, and that search volume as well needs to be taken with a bit of a pinch of salt, because we're targeting a location within the US, not just the whole of the US. So that would be my recommendation. And then, when you see success on the Meta side of things and you see consistent success, we can then look at branching off into other platforms as well. And that's when I would look to introduce Google further down the line. So that would be the way that I would look to do things if I was making the decision.
Really key here, okay? And I understand. So there might be people now that are thinking, why did you not go for the kill and get both platforms? Agency fees have the ability, as Cayman said at the start of the call, we want to keep our clients for years and years and years and years on end. It's not worth now trying to push for something for both platforms when you could tell from the silence there was a little bit of hesitation there from the client. So when Cayman said it's 8.9k if you pay in full, the client did kind of go quiet. Then he said, if you remove the dollar bias of essentially what you guys are going to get paid, what would you do? I think logically here it makes more sense to say, hey, well, look, no stress on that. Why don't you just come on board for one platform? We'll get you great results. And then once we've got you those great results, we can just add this platform in and we can explore that in a few weeks. Like, we want to work for you for years and years on end. We don't need to rush it all now. And that can be way more powerful in terms of your actual LTV. Another point to discuss really quickly before we finish this call off is going to be around the price. You notice here, which is really key, that we actually offer pay in full discounts. So we recommend all agencies start with a 3-month agreement, and then obviously if you renew that agreement you can double it up to 6 months, but you want to start on a 3-month agreement. And we always say to people, look, the price for the 3 months is 6k, but if you actually pay that in full up front, you can save 20%, and it's £4,800, which is around $6,000. Okay, you'll be super surprised how many people want to take the pay in full option to save the discount. But what's funny is what we actually did is we actually used to charge £1,500 per month, okay? So we actually upped the price. So the pay in full amount is actually more than what we used to get paid monthly. But we actually, essentially the 2K, the 6K, aka 2K per month, was a price increase for the pure point of actually anchoring it. But it's funny, we realized that a lot of people were super happy to just pay monthly on that new price point anyway. It was like no more of an objection than our prior price. But when we did get pay in fulls, we got all of the money up front, and we got an extra £300 than what we would have got when we charged monthly before. And we've tested prices. So yeah, if you serve a similar type of ad spend client to us, then that, honestly, we've tested tons, trust us. You can just copy that price and it works really well.
I'll just generate this this link then, and then I'll also send over the onboarding link for you as well. Just make sure all of those links all open up for you okay as well. Okay, I'll just put this payment link in the chat for you then, Patrick. Just let me know if that all opens up okay for you.
I also do have a heirloom furniture manufacturing business. So if this guy's
awesome.
You can kind of look at that too.
Fantastic. No, sounds good. I'm surprised you got any time for anything then, Patrick.
A single parent, got all this going. You know?
You say you're based in Salt Lake City, are you, Patrick? Yeah.
Yep, Salt Lake.
Yeah, my auntie used to live in Salt Lake City. She doesn't live there anymore. She moved over to Vancouver in Canada now, but yeah, she used to live in Salt Lake City.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's a unique little place, you know?
Yeah.
It's like anywhere. You got your pluses and your minuses, but
she used to have a season ticket to go and see the Utah Jazz play, and yeah.
A fun place, you know. Park City's close. It gets a bad rap, but it's not too bad. Where are you based out of?
Just outside of Birmingham, so about 40 minutes away from Birmingham, and then probably about 2.5 hours away from London.
Just the growth in Salt Lake City it's kind of wild.
Yeah, I saw in the in the form that you submitted as part of the booking process that like the population side of things is huge, isn't it?
Oh, the population is. I mean, it's gonna double in the next couple of years, and then
wow,
just all the building that's going on in this valley. It's crazy. They're building. It looks like a favela in Brazil. Like they're building up the mountain. They can't stop.
Oh, unbelievable. I can see that that's all been settled on my side, Patrick. So thank you so much for selling the invoice there. Do you mind just opening that other link that I've just sent in the chat there for you? So that's just an onboarding link. Just when you get a bit of time, the most important part of that is the onboarding form. So it should just be like a short video sequence of how to provide the access to the ad account and so on. Yeah, so when you got some time, if you don't mind going through that, of course, if there is any questions when you go through the onboarding process or onboarding form, please let me know. More than happy to cover off any of those questions.
Okay, really key. The client said, I'm happy to move forward today. So we just opened a payment link, came and sent it on the call. Again, it wasn't awkward. I know people really worry about this. By the way, for context, we don't always accept payments on the call. Sometimes we're not one of those agencies that's super pushy. For some clients, we've actually noticed far better results when we don't force it. We went for a stage where we really tried to collect, like payment on call or die kind of approach, right? All that led to is people making decisions that they weren't really comfortable with. We ended up issuing quite a few refunds of people that had like immediate buyer's remorse. Some people that literally asked for a refund the day later. It's just, so we tend to find that if somebody's really like, yeah, I'm happy to move forward today, I'm keen. Okay, do you want to settle it now? We can settle it on the call. Yes. Okay, great. It doesn't have to be this awkward thing. Or if they don't want to, there's also no biggie, but just make sure you get a commitment. So, hey, I'm going to send you the invoice and the onboarding link. Can you do that today? Are you free tomorrow at say 2 p.m. to jump on another call to like have a kickoff call? Yeah, I am. Great. And then you've at least got the next commitment, the next point of contact in the calendar, and it gives them an urgent 24 hours to make sure they settle the invoice. But both of which work. Just because we did it on the call here doesn't mean that you have to. This was a situation based off the context that we were given here. And then whilst that's happening, Cayman's just building a bit of rapport, super friendly, having a bit of a laugh, having a conversation. And yeah, and there you have it. That's exactly how you land a $6,000 client.